the news, 2 PDP presidential aspirants disqualified, 15 cleared. Russia attacks Donbass but fails to capture 3 target areas. Khafi to face cross misconduct proceedings from Met Police for appearing on Big Brother Naija show. Details shortly. This is TOS Television, your digital-first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Ukwade and this is TOS News 360. A police officer who appeared on the Nigerian version of Big Brother without permission from her bosses have been given a final written warning. PC Khalifat Karim, popularly known as Khafi, was a serving Metropolitan Police officer in London when she applied to be on the show in 2019. A misconduct hearing ruled Khafi should be given the written warning after gross misconduct was proven. She had admitted one misconduct allegation of surrendering her work laptop to the producers of the show, but had denied 3 other misconduct allegations. Now to Nigeria politics. Ahead of the primaries of political parties scheduled to end on June 3, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it will authenticate the membership registers submitted to it by the parties. It, however, warns that any political party that falsifies its figures or has multiple registrations on its register may have its candidates disqualified. INEC had fixed party primaries for between April 4 and June 3, and most parties have scheduled their primaries for May. The People's Democratic Party on Friday in Abuja disqualified 2 of its 17 presidential aspirants for failing to meet the requirements set by the panel. The chairman of the screening committee, Senator David Mark, however, declined to reveal the identities of the disqualified aspirants or the reasons for their disqualification. And across Africa, the United States wants the opposing sides involved in conflict in Ethiopia to advance a negotiated ceasefire and for essential services to be restored in the Tigray region, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Friday. Since the conflict started on November 4, 2020, when Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered the military offensive against regional forces in Tigray, more than 2 million of Tigray's 6 million people have fled their homes, with at least 10,000 reported deaths and 230 massacres. A Sudanese court reversed an order dissolving a key Islamist institution that was prominent before the uprising in 2019, a further step towards the rehabilitation of allies of the former regime. According to a document, a high court on Tuesday reversed a decision dissolving Islamic organization and organizing and financing arm for the regime that has helped to finance Islamic groups, including Hamas. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You're watching TOS News 360. More Africa stories plus global and business stories when we return. To stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. South Africa may be entering a 5th COVID wave earlier than expected after a sustained rise in infections over the past 14 days that seems to be driven by the BA4 and BA5 Omicron subvariants, health officials and scientists said. The country that has recorded the most coronavirus cases and deaths on the African continent only exited a 4th wave around January and had predicted a 5th wave could start in May or June, early in the Southern Hemisphere winter. Senior health official Nicholas Crisp also said on Friday that the country had enough vaccine doses and was not planning to procure more. On the global scene, Russian forces pounded Ukraine's eastern Donbass region on Saturday, but failed to capture 3 target areas, Ukraine military said, while Moscow said Western sanctions on Russia and arms shipments to Ukraine were impeding peace negotiations. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, in remarks published early on Saturday, said lifting Western sanctions on Russia was part of the peace talks, which he said were difficult but continued daily by video link. Russia calls its action in Ukraine a special operation to disarm Ukraine and protect it from fascists. Ukraine and the West say the fascist allegations is baseless and the war is an unprovoked act of aggression. The United States believe that there is a threat of Russia using nuclear weapons despite a recent escalation in Moscow's rhetoric, a senior U.S. defense official said on Friday. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Monday said the West should not underestimate the elevated risk of nuclear conflict over Ukraine. Russia said earlier this month that it plans to deploy its newly tested SAMAT intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of mounting nuclear strikes against the United States by autumn. Ecuador's president has declared a state of emergency in 3 western provinces because of rising crime. Guillermo Lasso tweeted that a curfew will be imposed and thousands of soldiers and police officers will be sent to Guayas, Manabi and Esmeraldas to enforce peace and order. This is the second time Lasso has used emergency powers to curb violence since he took office last year. President Lasso has blamed drug trafficking for Ecuador's crime problems. And on the business scene, the president of the African Development Bank Group, Akinwumi Adesina, has said that Africa faces an infrastructure gap of between $68 billion to $108 billion annually. According to him, the bank had committed over $44 billion to infrastructure across the continent in the last 6 years in areas of transport, energy, water, and sanitation. Adesina said governments must focus more on attracting the private sector to infrastructure financing. And that is it on TOS News 360 on your digital first Pan-African News Network. For more updates, visit www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Lukwade. Thanks for watching.